him have instilled in us that tenacious attitude. That's why we didn't take one playoff last year, and that's why we were able to do great things down the stretch. I think a baseball player in St. Louis has got it probably as good as you could ever have it, but come into the league, play for a Hall of Fame type manager, not a Hall of Fame type, a Hall of Fame manager, maybe the best ever. Play for a city like this, in a fan base like this, we couldn't be more blessed, we couldn't be more spoiled. We appreciate everything you've done for us, and we just love you.
And our last speaker, we always want to do is like to manage in St. Louis, and also Tony the Force. Please welcome our good friend Joe Torrey. Joseph.
I was lucky. I got the chance to meet Tony LaRussa when he was managing Oakland and I was a broadcaster. We picked each other's brains. Mine was a little easier to pick than his. But the one thing I can tell you, once you get to know him, and I think you experienced that right here in this city, that he's a very special manager, very special individual. And the thing I know the people of St. Louis will always embrace is that he cares very, very much, and it's important for him to win for the fans. He commands the respect of his players, and I can tell you firsthand, I hated managing against him. I take that back. I hated him. But the one thing that always existed was the respect that he earned from the people that managed across the field from him. Thank you for having me back, and I'm really touched, Tony, that you asked me to be a part of this. Good luck.
And at this time, I'd like to bring to the podium the chairman of the board and managing partner, Mr. Bill DeWitt, Jr.
Thanks, Mike. Tony, it's a great pleasure to honor you this evening for everything you've done with the Cardinals organization. The LaRussa years will always be remembered as one of the greatest eras in Cardinal history. When you came to St. Louis, you chose the number 10 to symbolize the goal of winning the 10th Cardinals World Championship. True to your competitive spirit, once 10 was achieved, you set your sights on number 11. And what a masterful job you did last year to make that happen. Now we have a few special gifts on this memorable day. First, we have a framed jersey with an inscription commemorating today's ceremony. And over here, we have one of your trademark fungos, dipped in gold, together with plaques inscribed with your Cardinals achievements. We are also making contributions in your name in the total amount of $100,000 to your two favorite charities, the Animal Rescue Foundation and Cardinals Care, which you were so helpful in creating 15 years ago. Has come to have you join the other Cardinals legends. Please welcome to the left center field wall for the official unveiling of the now retired, permanently and forever, number 10. Congratulations.
Does anybody else want to try to do this for me? You know, I thought the important place to start is with priority one. And I appreciate the response, the welcome. But I know that the number one reason we've got 40,000 plus here today is to watch a baseball game between two great teams. So I'll get out of the way by just mentioning a few things. You know, first of all, when I was told by Bill about the number, fair to say I was reluctant. And then I got excited and I started calling some of the guys that were part of that history. And the first bunch of calls I got, they were all busy. If you look closely, most of the guys that I have behind me are pitchers. And I called them, and I'm sorry. Then I said, Dave Duncan will be here. Oh, I can make it. Now, a bit of history. The winter of '95, it was time to leave the A's and wondering where to go. Marky Anderson had said before he retired, try the National League, he would love that kind of baseball. And the Cardinals were looking for a manager, and Walt Jockey to use some strategy. We had a dinner in Oakland to honor Mr. Haas. He made sure that he talked to Dunk all night about this great young pitching that was in St. Louis. Those two guys were sitting behind me, Alan Bennett and Matt Morris. Then, when the night was over, Dunk said, you know where we're going next year? And he knew that it wasn't a question of where I managed, just wherever he coached. That's where I wanted to manage, and he said St. Louis. So 16 years later, it was all about Walt, Matt Morris, Alan Bennett, and Dave Duncan. Really appreciate the history that's reflected tonight. The White Sox, that first opportunity, had some great times there. Won one time, ended up a couple of years with Tom Seaver. I saw him before he came over here, and he was very disappointed. This was not a roast, more a toast. They go to Oakland. If ever there was a push button
type of managing team, that was the A's. And you see the guys back there, the club had everything, plus attitude, competitiveness. Those 10 years were golden. I wish there was time for me to tell you something about each and every one of them, but I'll tell you a quick story. The first pitcher we chose, Dave and I chose to pitch the first game against the Red Sox at Rogers Clemens, was a certain guy named Dave Stewart. I called him in his hotel room because I wanted to get him the news. Picked up the phone, and I heard this voice. Hello? I said, Mrs. Stewart, can I talk to Dave? This is Dave. I found out who this is. I'm going to kick your butt. Then we had guys like, Bob Welsh, won 27 games in one season. Dennis Eckersley, I mean, it goes on and on. Come to St. Louis. I knew the history because of my dad in Tampa. She took me to St. Pete to watch those games. The whole time here, the welcome, the ability to be around, the great history, and quite a few are behind me, Libby, Lou, and one guy in particular. This has special meaning to me. If any of you were here during batting practice when the pitchers were hitting, almost always I would shag in left field with a certain person, and we would talk. Many times he would try to correct all the mistakes I was making. But one of my favorite times of every home game was to stand in left field right in front of those numbers and share some minutes with Red Shandies. All right, quick. Here we go. 1996, first year we win. Brian Jordan made that win happen. Since then, from 2000 on, it's just been a great ride. We brought along guys like Mike Matheny, Jim Edmonds, bringing the guys, the toughest individual I've ever had a ball club, which is David Eckstein. And through it all, for 30 plus years, I have one humongous asset without which would have had no chance. I had a family back in California that allowed me to go to a park early, stay late, made sacrifices. There was never extended family where we lived. It was always our two daughters and the one lady that was mother, father, and I can't ever thank her enough. My wife and I. Two last things. Number one, I hope that this October we'll see a playoff series between a legendary historic team like the Atlanta Braves, which plays in the World Playoffs this last year, Freddie Kentucky, and the St. Louis Cardinals. Been through this a couple times. Here's my opinion. What does having the number out there mean to me? I don't take it personal. Just like career wins. I never took it personal. I don't take this personal. This is about an organization starting with ownership, front office, players that were developing the system, players at the big league level, a total organization, and in this particular town, the psychological edge we get from 3 million fans coming out to watch us. So this is what it means to me. And you can agree or ignore it, just like the players. Whenever you see 10 out there, it represents the organization from top to bottom and the